Let's have a chat. One of those chat. Yeah. And I felt guided to have this chat. It actually just came now about a reflection on my journey and having to learn through life experiences, being in a body of a 41-year-old. Things that I've learned, things that have helped me, things that I used to do, patterns of behaviors and way of approaching life that I used to approach life and would then create my life experiences back then. And I'm finding in a place where it's like life giving me a moment to just like see, look at your growth, child. Look how much you have grown. See the changes, the transformation that has taken place in your life, in your mind, in your ways, in your reasoning that has led you into this place, this position, lens of seeing, ways of seeing life that is totally different, And I'm made to realize one of the biggest factor back then in my past that used to be one of the way of approaching life that actually would render me feeling in the way I felt. One, I had a lot of issues when it came to enjoying life fully. Okay, when it comes to feeling alive in every moment, I had issues with that. I don't want to lie. I had, yes, a happy kind of like approach and stuff like that, but inside my mind, it was a huge challenge to fully transmit that energy, not only from a surface, but, feel it from an energetical state of seeing, where you feel it in your body, feel it in your veins, feel it like it's an energy you feel, right? And one of the main reasons that I can only think of, that was something that actually was outstanding for me, was the victim mentality. The victim mentality is something that all of us, we actually feed on. We actually invest on unconsciously, because one thing I've come to understand, the ways of a victim mentality and how they impact our lives. There's nothing wrong, okay, to have a victim mentality. One thing I've learned about our mind is also that we have, our mind develops, after like maybe 7 years, your mind is shifting, whether you are aware of it or not. Something underneath is shifting, and the shifts that are taking place in your mind affects your way of life. Okay. So in my case, one thing that I've come to understand, one thing that used to render me in a place of suffering life, was the victim mentality. And I used just to see things like life was happening to me. And I was just being reminded how it's so subtle. Do you understand? There's like, you take it lightly of a thought that comes to your head when you are sitting, or maybe something is happening, whatsoever. Like, especially when it comes to, because my issues were in relational. Having issues with how I relate with others, having issues how I approach life circumstances, having issues on how I position my life, myself in a situation. So I had some huge veil when it comes to relating to things, relating to situations, relating to people. I was so much entangled and meshed with other people's energy to the point that I had no idea that I have my own sense of individuality. Do you understand? That before there's anything or anyone else, there's me before. You understand? Of course, we understand where this all stems from, my background. But here I am in a calmer position where there's so much clarity, sound mind, connectivity, sense of being integrated to life as a whole, feeling enough, feeling ready and willing to meet life where it is, feeling empowered, feeling like life has done a number on me to transform my ways of seeing, which that has happened already. And out of being in this place, I am feeling called to look back and just watch how this transformation has actually worked out in the end, and has positioned the sense of me in this position where I do not experience what I experience in the back. I do not experience the confusion, the frustration. I do not feel like I'm a victim of life. I see things right away. I see through the illusions that the mind create that were based on the belief system that I have believed to be true. That, life happens to me, things happen to me, people out there to get me. Like I used to think like that. Like if anything that, whatever, some kind of a bad situation happens, my mind was programmed to think like, especially if you're around people, like I was programmed to think like, oh, I have to somehow project that pain to other people, to a point that I was not trained to first look at things and from a point of an ego's point of view, a broader perspective where you put aside your ego, your need of having preferences and biasness and wanting things to go in a certain way because you're feeling of what you're feeling. So I was more based so much into the ego, my way, your way, black on white, you name it, do you understand? So hence I feel so much that, the state of an ego on its own is the one that influences us to associate yourself with that state of a victim. Because one thing I've learned, having a death of an ego, it has allowed me to experience life beyond the ego state of mind, where I'm no longer just identified with what the conditions of the ego, but now I'm beyond that and I'm identified with the state of a broader perspective of a seer of an ego, a witness, an observer of an ego that is part and parcel of me. Do you understand? And this is the position that has actually led me or gave me the opportunity to see things on a different lens, on different light, where I'm able now to see my own ego at play and be able to pinpoint exactly, to diagnose myself, in other words, like, oh, this what was actually hindering me from experiencing life in the way that I do today. This is what used to block the sense of flow within my energies, a sense of connectivity, a sense of being whole, a sense of being grounded, sense of having clarity to see things as they are, willingness to meet life where it is, knowing that you are enough, that you can deal with anything that is thrown at you by life at any time. So I lacked that. I was coming from a state of lack that was limited, and I only saw things, black and white, from black and white state of lens. That influenced also how I position myself when it comes to life situation, how I related to things, to people, how I conducted, myself, how I approached life, It had the power to influence everything. Hence, I felt frustrated, confused, and also, I want to mention this it also kept me in that state where I was yearning and desiring for better, wanting things to change so that hopefully one day, I will feel good. Because here's what is happening right now, where I am, as a result of the transformation, there is no desire, there is no yearning, there is no wishing, there is no wanting for things to go in a certain way. Instead, there is a sense of openness, a receptivity to life as it is, understanding that life is serving and deserving to be as it is based on what I've learned from the past experiences. Do you understand? Whereas in the past experiences, based on the victim mentality, things were not unfair. Like the things were not fair. Yeah, things were not fair. Like, my mind was very much coming from a place of a critical mind. I wanted things, I saw things superior, from a superior, inferior kind of sense of seeing life. Always just like gauging or kind of like putting myself, other people on the pedestal or putting myself on the pedestal. So that was the kind of a dance of life coming from an ego, which is normal. Okay, this is normal. Many people live in this state of mind, and it's normal because we are all part and parcel of nature. And apparently, with the human consciousness, which is part and parcel of the evolution, we are designed in a way that we go through these phases in life where we're going to experience life from an ego state. And then we're going to develop further on as we continue to learn from the lesson that we get through life. Do you understand? And that's where I am right now. Like, okay, I've developed from an ego-based state of state. I know I've come to understand the patterns, the ways the ego shows up. And I'm more called to talk about victimhood, I guess, because of the suffering that it has actually created in my past life, where I felt like a victim of life. And out of that mindset, I've created so many experiences. Whee, child. That when I look back, I go like, oh, child. Well, look at you. You have grown. Do you understand? You have grown because now your thinking, your reasoning, your way of seeing, your positioning, the way you relate to life circumstances, totally the opposite. You are no longer the same. Like the old ways, the old triggers do not move you. You are not touched. You have the ability to see them at play within your ego state of mind. You actually have surpassed it. And you are right above it. You can actually see it in its own tricks and its own ways of showing up in your life. And something in you is at peace with it, because you've come to understand there is no you without an ego. Okay? There is no you without an ego. You didn't get to the place where you are just because you happen to have your way. No, you had to go through that phase where you embody the ego in its fullest potential. It is because of that you have gone through the ego, experienced the ways of ego, embodied the energy of ego that has led you to the place and the position you are now actually approaching life from, seeing life from. You understand? So that's my journey. That's one thing I can talk about. I used to be resentful. Child. That was one thing that I would tell you. I used to be resentful, blindly so. Again, I like this because I don't want to take this personally and stuff like that, or project in that way, because it's part and parcel of my learning curves, what I'm learning from my life experiences, the positive things, the negative things, how this, sense of being alive in the body and having all these experiences that we go through in life has actually, placed me in the position or state of seeing that I find myself in today. Yes, it comes with a lighter energy. Yes, it comes with a positive energy. Yes, it comes with so much clarity, with sound mind. I feel like I'm ready. It's like, as they say, once you reach 40, your life is bound to feel different, right? And that's exactly what I'm feeling. Now I'm feeling amazing, like totally amazing. I'm feeling at peace. I'm feeling grounded. I feel like I've learned to be able to create that sense of being at home in the midst of everything. You know, I've learned how to alchemize my own energies that comes from the dualistic state of seeing. I've learned how to regulate my nervous system and be able to hold space for life as it is unfolding here now without the need to fight or fight or flight. But instead, I'm able to call my mind into order in the midst of chaos and execute order, execute what I need, what I see it is necessary at the time without a doubt, without questioning anything. I have that sense of connectivity with the essence of my own energy and life as a whole, which is like, do you understand? To someone who came from a mentality of frustration and confusion and lack of sense of being enough and feeling like, something is missing, maybe I'm wrong or blah, 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 looking down to yourself, coming to a place where you're feeling full, whole, integrated, connected to life as a whole. Everything is working for the highest good. Everything is good. Like where you actually see and you're working with life as it is. It's an honor. It's also a blessing. And hence, I feel like, the path in life is really amazing. It's you finally see the beauty now that comes with living through the lesson that you've learned, especially when your ego, we go through that death of the ego, because now you really see how there is value in pain as much as there's value in pleasure. You honestly see it. You see if you don't take things for granted. You don't take life for granted. You see there's like meaning. There is a hidden energy at play with what we see with our naked eye, and you find yourself having a sense of reverence now. Like everything needs some kind of respect, hold respect for what is, respect what is happening, because you just never know. You just never know. Something is like, do you understand? I find myself in that position now where I'm filled with gratitude because I'm being awakened to my own reality of not just seeing myself through the lens of being fragmented and distorted by the belief systems, do you understand? Conditions and living standards and, all that stuff, education, religion, you name it, all kind of things, this politics, you name it. Out of that, you totally out and free from those attachments and having your full potential energy being alive within you, free from any attachment, free from any ways of seeing, nothing clustering your sight. You have a full freedom and a free will to create the kind of life experience that you wish to experience at this moment, regardless what is going on. Nothing can hinder you. I was just talking to my sister right now, and she asked me, she's like, "Are you happy?" Oh, I'm so happy. I'm happy to hear that from my own family, like my bloodline. Someone asking me, "Are you happy, Thandi?" And I'm like, I am super happy. I am happy. And when you're happy and your happiness is not attached to anything, huh? That's the unique thing. And I'm like, I'm happy. My happiness is not the result of having this, or because, it's a pure sense of happiness, of that feeling of recognizing and understanding that everything that takes place has its own purpose to serve within the whole spectrum of existence. Something happens when you grasp that. When you understand, when you shift your mindset and see life from that perspective, something in your mind, in your energy, as a kind of a healing energy is being flooded in your DNA, in your veins, in your blood. You feel lighter because now your mindset has shifted. The old ways that came with some kind of dense energy that used to divide and separate your mind and create a lot of conflict has subsided, and now a new energy is right here, a new solidified energy, an energy that keeps you grounded, that works for your own well-being, that keeps you sane and making sure that your mind is in a position of clarity no matter what. Child, this is not magic. We're not talking about magic. We're not talking about whatever superstitions you may think or come up with. Just clear your mind with this. This is reality. This is reality. Do you understand? The only thing that I was asked that I have done was just to surrender to the ways of life, being willing to be taught true life experiences, just being in a beginner's mind, open-minded, wanting and understanding that there is a higher force. There's an energy that has created all that there is, that is with, that is in a continuous rhythm, movement from within, around us, whether on trees, whether on the water, oceans, mountains, people, animals, in every, there is a certain energy that is alive within us, that knows our ways, that is there for us. Do you understand? So for me, having to understand that, I just had to learn to surrender and trust that unknown process. And it is the only thing that I have done that has led me to the place I am today, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, physically. I have decided to follow that voice, my own inner voice. I believe we all have voices. Many voices created by many things, but there is a voice before any other voices, before your father's voice, before your mother's voice, before your society, your teacher, your you name it, before any of your friends, you name it. You have a voice that you were born with that is there to guide you, that is connected to that divine energy, that is the essence of life, that has the ability to create everything that exists that we can see with our naked eyes. Okay? So for me, what I've done is to listen to that voice. I have listened to that voice. I've known that voice. I try to block it. I try to ignore it because, of course, all of us, you have your family structure that has belief system that says you have to behave or do or act in a certain way. You also want to fit in. Normally, you want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to be part of the whole thing, you want to feel loved. So you sacrifice the voice, you put it under somewhere, you shove it, you kind of like, numb it. And then you just do things as how other people are doing it. And in the long run, you realize something is not adding up. I guess that was my experience. And then I initially felt like, no, it was my family's problem. Oh, it was, this way. And I was blaming everyone. I'm telling you, because I was trying to figure out what was going on. Why wasn't I happy with my own life? Why I was trying so much, and life is not coming together. So I went on that mission of trying to solve the X of my own life. And there I was, finding things, trying to, this one. And I was like, it's deeper than that. The more I went in, and that's when I realized, no, it's deeper than that. You were born with a voice. You actually gave your power away. And now you're simply invited to actually regain your own power. Come back to that sense of being at home and being connected, where you are no longer a victim or villain of life, where you are no longer superior or inferior, where you're no longer black or white, where you are no longer taking sides or just having preferences. You can become aware of them, but you also understand that there is more than just what, preferring things or biasness. You just know, you have an awareness that, I have this lens of seeing from this dimension that comes with these belief systems, but I also have another lens of seeing that is a broader perspective that gives me an eagle's bird's view point of seeing, that I'm able to see things as they are. This is where my healing comes from. This is where my liberation comes from. This is where my heart is being restored. This is where I feel at home in this lens. Do you understand? And this lens, this is where I am free from the mentality of being a victim of life. I now know that life is for me. Life, things that are happening in this world are actually happening for my highest good, including those around me and everything. Do you understand? I come to understand that, but I had to go through that journey, learn my ways, learn how I show up, learn what I entertain, and how all that create my life experience in the end, rendering me feeling how I used to feel at the back. So today I can feel content, I can feel happy, I can feel grateful to exist. It is because of the method that I use, the mindset that has taken shift in my head, that now I am able to apply it, and as a result of that, I am in the person that I'm in, free from stresses, free from having to sit and confused, guys. So yeah, it is normal to be confused, but also be aware it comes from a certain dimension. It doesn't, just because confusion is part and parcel of life, it doesn't mean that you always have to be frustrated, always have to be angry, always have to feel like a victim. No. There's a timeline. For some of us, we got there. Okay? For some of us, we got there. We got that privilege, the honor to be invited to experience the opposite of what we used to live. And we're required to stay present, stay grounded, being mindful of our thought processes. What are we feeding our energy on, and why? We need to learn all these things. And it is through these lessons that we have learned and have mastered that has placed us into this dimension where our energy frequency is high vibrating, it's positive, it's full of life, it's liberating. This is where we feel like life is meaningful. Everything that takes place doesn't just take place for nothing. Where we feel like, you know what, I might be sitting here, broken foot, but you know what, I'm grateful. Even though my leg is broken, fine. But I'm breathing. I'm having a lot of experiences. And through those experiences, I'm learning a lot of lessons. And this life goes on. Just because I find myself with a broken foot doesn't that life stops, is blocked. No. The joy continue to flow because of the mindset. I can face many situations, but because of the mindset that I have is the one that determines how I feel about anything that I encounter. Anyway, that's what I got to share today. Love and light. Bye.